Well, good morning, City Church. Man, isn't it so cool to see all the awesome things God is doing both inside and outside the walls of this church? Isn't that cool? Oh, come on, we can get a little more excited than that. See, second service, you don't have the excuse that first service has because it's a little earlier, so they can kind of say, oh, we're just waking up, but you don't have that excuse, so. Well, hey, last week was awesome. It was Easter, obviously, and we just got the chance to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, which really was the culmination of Jesus' mission here on earth. Obviously, we know he was sent from his Father to come, to leave heaven's throne, come down to earth, live a perfect life, and take upon himself all of our sin, our shame, every punishment that we deserved. Jesus took upon himself. He went to the cross. He died a criminal's death despite doing nothing wrong. And he was resurrected on the third day. And this was not just a theoretical resurrection. This was not just a figurative resurrection. This was a real life, legitimate resurrection from the dead. It is the greatest event to happen in human history. It shook the foundations of the world then, and it continues to transform lives today. Amen? The resurrection, I want to say this, it was such a significant thing because up until that point, Jesus was making a lot of claims about himself, being the Son of God. And even for that time, there was a lot of people that were doubting what Jesus was saying. And this is even while he was performing miracles and he was preaching and teaching and saying some pretty crazy stuff and healing people and was starting to gather a following. But there still was a lot of people that doubted him and did not receive and accept him as the true Son of God. And so when he died, most people just looked at that and they said, see, he's just another prophet, wasn't really the Son of God. But man, on that third day, when he came up out of that grave, come on, church. He put the doubters, he put the doubts to rest, amen? He put the doubts to rest, and he proved once and for all that he was the true, the only Son of God. And furthermore, he went so far as to not only prove that he was the Son of God, but he also proved that he knew how to get to the presence of God. He didn't just know what the pathway was. He declared he was the pathway into the presence of God. This is what Jesus himself said in John 14:6. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Jesus was not saying, I am a way. I am a truth. I am a life. No, he said, I am the only way. I am the truth. I am the life. And that's why those statements that Jesus was making are so important to our everyday life as believers. And if we are going to be followers of Jesus, what Jesus said about himself needs to be something that we not only know, but that it's something that's a part of our everyday faith in Jesus. This statement of Jesus being the way, the truth, and the life, it's not just another theological concept or some religious dogma. It is a reality that we have to embrace if we want to truly experience the power of his resurrection. Amen? So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at these three statements that Jesus made about himself, and we're going to see how those affect our lives today. So the first thing Jesus said was, I'm the way. He's not just one of many ways, and he was not just another pathway for people to have a deeper enlightenment. Jesus was saying, I am the only way. The Bible says in Acts 4:12, salvation is found in no one else, For there is no other name under heaven given to mankind by which we must be saved. This means that if we want to be reconciled to God and have our sins forgiven, we have to believe and follow Jesus. Jesus is the only way to enter into the presence of Almighty God. I think of when we start talking about Jesus being the way, my mind immediately goes to just directions and maps and road maps. And I think of this winter, my wife and I, as most Michiganders do, we kind of got to a point where we were just sick of the snow. We're just sick of the weather. Come on, who else has been there? You don't have to be shy. I get it. We live in Michigan. And so we kind of were like, you know what? Let's do what all Michiganders do, and let's go to Florida for a week. So I told my wife, Emily, I said, hey, we're going to Florida, and you know what? I just want to get there. I want to get there as quick and as easy as possible, so we're going to pony up the dough, and we're going to just fly. So I get on my computer, and I start looking up plane tickets, and I say to Emily, I said, hey, hon, I think we're going to drive. So we packed up our SUV with our 4 kids and all of our stuff, and I guess I'm not really embarrassed to say, because I think it was a good idea, is we took a little U-Haul and put all of our stuff in it. So we had a lot of stuff. But one of the first things I did when we got in the car, we're all loaded up, got in the car, is I put the destination into my GPS, into my Google Maps. And I immediately got the step-by-step directions of how to get to my destination. And I think there are so many of us that we know where our destination is. We know we want to have a life with God. We want to be in his presence. Not only now, but for all eternity. I think most people, even people who aren't Christians, would say they want to spend eternity in heaven with God. They want to have an audience with God and be in his presence. So that's the destination that I think obviously we have as Christians, but also just people in general, that's what they want. But when we do not know how to get to our destination, then we're lost. And I can tell you, if I did not put the destination and get directions from Google Maps, we would have never gotten to Florida. I'm serious. I am directionally challenged. I would have gotten lost. In fact, I still did kind of get us lost a couple times, even with the directions. It's not funny, everybody. This is real life. I'm trying to make sure I have the respect of my family, and you're getting lost following the map, But that's the cool thing about Google Maps, man. You miss a road, you miss an exit, and it just redirects you. It's like we need to know what the way is. And when we don't, we will make stuff up. We will make mistakes. We will take the wrong turn. We will get lost. And that is when you look at the world right now, they are lost because they do not have direction to get into the presence of God and to get into that pathway of Almighty God. And so when Jesus says to us, hey, I am the way, he's essentially saying, I know where you want to go. I know not only how to get there, but I am the way to get there. And there is no other way. See, sometimes I think we can look at it, I'll use the Google Maps analogy. Sometimes you put in a destination and it will tell you, hey, there's like 3 different routes you could take. Which route do you want to take? We're always like, the fastest, click. But it's like, we think that about God sometimes too. We're like, okay, God, what options do I have here for routes to get to you? I need another option. I don't know if I like the one you gave me, because we like options. Us Westerners, we like options, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I have on my deck right now, I have 3 grills. Why do I have 3 grills? because I like options. I mean, one's a smoker and one does this and one does this. You know, we like options. But Jesus was super clear, basically saying, there are no other options. This is the way. If you want to have a life with God, if you want to be in the presence of God, Jesus was saying, I alone can provide the roadmap to the presence of God. He alone. That is the only way. There is no other way. There's no shortcut. There's no way around. Jesus is the only way. And it was a groundbreaking statement for him to make back then, and it's a groundbreaking statement to be made right now. If you look at the society and the culture that we live in, to definitively say that, nope, this is the way, there is no other way, that blows people's minds. It blows people's minds because it's very difficult to accept and say, you know what, I'm not gonna try to come up with my own idea, my own way on my own. I'm gonna submit to Jesus and trust him as the only way. That's a very serious decision to be made right there. And I think even for a lot of us Christians, we don't fully buy into that. Because this is not just like something that you accept one time. Like, okay, Jesus is the way. Yep, he's the only way. This is something that we have to daily do, where we daily wake up and we say, okay, Jesus is the way. His way, it's his way or the highway. I'm gonna do things the way he has told me to do them. Guys, we don't like that idea. I'm just telling you, it's a part of our sin nature. We resist that because it takes us submitting to Jesus and saying, you know the way and I don't. I mean, how many times have we had those conversations with our children when you tell them to do something and then they're telling you why there's a better way, and you're like, kid, you're like 8 years old. I'm 30 years older than you. Like, just do what I told you to do. But this is as adults, we have the same tendencies to look to God and say, there might be a better way. I might have I don't know if I exactly like, that seems a little extreme, Jesus. But that's what he's calling us to. That is what he is calling us to. The second thing Jesus said was, I am the truth. He's not just a wise teacher or a prophet with some good ideas. The Bible says in John 1:14, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. It's talking about Jesus right there. Saying the Word became flesh, that's Jesus, and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. This means that if we want to know the truth about God, about ourselves, about the world, we have to look no further than in Jesus. He is the truth personified. When you look at the state of today's culture, what is one of the common phrases that we hear all the time? We hear this phrase, fake news, right? So we're living in a day and an age right now where we don't know what's real and what's fake. We don't know what's true and what's a lie. I mean, even watching something like the news is like you're not gonna get a helping of the truth. You watch this news outlet about the same incident, it's gonna say this, and then the other one's gonna say something totally different. You're like, what? If we're being honest with ourselves, today, we are a confused people. We brag about, we've got the most information at our fingertips. I mean, I can Google anything. And it's true, we do. We have the most information at our fingertips than we've ever had in the course of human history. But yet we are the most confused, we're the most scared, depressed, discouraged generation that we've seen since the existence of human beings. And we don't know how to find that true north, that truth that is rock solid. And here's the thing of it, church. Deep down, whether we think this is true or not, deep down, we all want and long for truth. We want to know the truth of God. We want to know the truth of ourselves. We want to have a better understanding of the past, present, and future of this life and eternity. We want those things. God created us with an innate desire and a pull for those things. And I believe he put that there so that we would be drawn constantly to him. Because as we've seen in the world, truth becomes almost fluid. That is what the culture is trying to cram down our throats right now, that truth can be fluid. That what's right and what's wrong, that's up for debate. I mean, we can't even take something like gender now and consider it to be a hardline fact. Now it's whatever you want it to be. I mean, I'm literally waiting for the day that people just come out and they say, yeah, I know there's a law of gravity which says whatever goes up must come down, but I kind of like the idea of just jumping up in the air and staying up there. Why not? That's my new truth right there. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And the truth that God has and wants for us to accept is a truth that is unchanging. It's a truth that's not only the only truth, but it's an unchanging truth that doesn't change despite who's in political office, or how the economy's doing, or what minority group or majority group or whatever group has an agenda. God's truth is unchanged by all that stuff. And so much of our lives and our faith, even, if we're being honest, is changed and influenced by the things around us. That's why Scripture says, be in the world, but not of it, because God knows that we all are susceptible to being influenced by, really, the enemy. That's what he's using culture, he's using the world to lie and deceive us and keep us from accepting and living from the truth, the real truth, the only truth, the truth that we can only get in Jesus. We can only get it from his word. See, that's the beautiful thing about this invitation that Jesus says about I'm the truth is he's saying he's the truth, but he gives us access to that truth. It's not in some hidden black box that we don't know how to get to. It's right here. It's in our hands. We have access to it. We have access to the very word of God. We just have to actually read it and then do what it says. I talk to so many believers even who they come, they talk to me about, their lives and situations going on and they go on about, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And there's sometimes where I almost just kind of want to say to people is have you just tried this? Tried what's in here? I mean, even Christians sometimes, they're asking for wisdom and advice. And I'm like, yeah, I can give it to you. It's right here. It's right here. We can get the wisdom that we need, the direction we need, the truth we need about ourselves, about God, about other people, about situations. It's all right here. Because the Word became flesh and dwelled among us. So when Jesus says, I am the truth, it's right here in the form of his word. And we have access to it. So my question to us is, are we taking advantage of that? Are we taking that invitation and saying, okay, I need truth. I can't get it from the world. I can't get it from culture. It's just making me more and more confused. But I can get it from the Word of God. I can find the truth in Jesus, who is the truth personified. I love this statement. Jesus is the reality of all of God's promises, which is basically all the things that God has promised us. All the things, all of his promises, his good promises, they are available to us in the person of Jesus. Amen? Church, we need to take advantage of this on an everyday basis. This is not just something that we just, like I said before, it's not something that we just say, oh, he's the way, the truth, and the life. Great, okay, cool. No, we wake up every day and we're just like, what is the truth that I can only get from Jesus? What is that truth? And I want to know it and I want to live by it. In every situation that I'm in, every circumstance, I look to Jesus as the truth to help me have a better understanding and a better perception of what's going on in the world, what's going on in my own life. Jesus said that he is the life. Let's look at that statement a second. He's not just a historical figure or religious icon. He is the source of life itself. The Bible says in John 10:10, I have come that you may have life and have it to the full. I love that statement because he isn't just saying, oh, I've come that you would have life, but he's saying, I've come that you would have life, but have a real full life. Do you know what a full life really is? Do you know what a full life really feels like? It's not a life devoid of problems. It's not a life devoid of hardships and difficult circumstances. He's not saying you're going to have a life where you're just rich and you don't have any problems, or you're really influential and you have no problems. He's not saying that. But he is saying that you're going to have life. He wants to give us life that's full and complete and means something. He wants us to have that life. But in order to experience that true life, that abundant life, that eternal life, we have to come to Jesus. And we have to want that life from him. And what really has to happen for us to have that life is for us to lay down our own life. See, this is a part of the message you are not going to like. This is a part you have to lay down your own life, just as Jesus did. Jesus laid down his life, and he's calling us to do the same thing. See, but here's the catch. He's saying he wants us to have life, but we have to lay down our old life. We have to set aside our selfishness. We have to set aside whatever ideas we had of how our life should go and what we should really be doing. We have to lay all that aside. We have to die to ourselves so that then we can make the trade with Jesus, where he then gives us his life. He gives us the life. And that's the life that's full right there. And I believe that Jesus is ever present in our lives, and he's continually asking us the question of, do you want my life? Do you want my life? Do you want my life? Because I think there's a lot of times where we just don't want the life of Christ. We don't. Because there's times where we want to do things our own way, we want to have our own truth, we want to have our own life, we want to kind of do it our own way. It's very difficult to daily die to yourself, take up your cross and say, I'm going Jesus' way, I'm accepting Jesus' truth, and I'm gonna have the life that Jesus has for me. I'm gonna lay aside all the other stuff that I've tried to create because I want what Jesus has for me. And so often we, deep down, again, we want that full life. I don't think I'm not gonna make you raise your hands, but I think if I asked a question today, who here wants life? I'm pretty sure everybody would raise their hand. Yeah. If I say, who here you just want a bad life and you want to die? Like, I don't think anybody's gonna be like, yeah, sign me up. Like, we want life. We want that full life. And so often we run to empty wells to try to fill our life up. We think, oh man, if I had some more popularity, if I had more followers on Instagram, if I had a better job, if I had a better spouse, I don't know, we just make it up. Maybe if I had a little bit more money, then I'd have a better life. I've thought that before. Like, God, maybe if I had a little bit more money, I'd be a little bit more happy. It's a lie. You see how easy the deception sneaks into our life? It's not like we wake up every day and we're just like, all right, today I'm going my own way. Most of the time it happens really subtly. It happens very subtly. And all of a sudden, deception sneaks in and the enemy tries to start blinding us, confusing us, getting us to think we need to go our own way. We need to kind of make up our own truth. And all of a sudden, without even knowing it, we're lost. This is not just, I know we use that word a lot, the lost, and we use it a lot when describing people who have not come to Jesus yet. But here's the reality. There's a lot of Christians, maybe here in this room, maybe watching online. You are a Christian, you've prayed the prayer, you've accepted Jesus into your heart, but you are lost right now. Because you started to go your own way. You started to make up your own truth. You started to find your own life. And Jesus was pretty clear that isn't gonna work. That's not gonna get us to the presence of God. And so part of what Jesus said that was so groundbreaking was he was saying these statements that were very, they left no room for ambiguity. They left no room for compromise. He was pretty much saying, this is it. This is your option. Like what I said earlier, us Westerners especially, we like our options. Jesus is like, there's one option. It's through me. It's through me. There were people at that time who, the Jewish people at that time, they were all into like, hey, we got to do all these, follow the law and do all these, performance-driven things and all these sacrifices. They had all these things they had to do in order to be right with God. And then Jesus comes and he's like, nope, it's all through me now. I'm gonna go to the cross. I'm gonna take care of it all, and it's all gonna be through me. And there was a lot of people that rejected Jesus because of that. It's like they wanted to live their own life that was driven by performance. Because it is hard for us to come to a place where we can humble ourselves and say, I have nothing. I don't know how to get to God. I don't know. I can't do it. I can't get there. I don't know the truth. And I don't have the life that I want. It's really hard for us to say that and get to that place. But when we do, we can humble ourselves, then we can come to Jesus and we can say, all right, I want what you have, and I'm willing to submit to you, and I'm willing to walk through the only door provided to us by God. There's only one door, and it's through Jesus. That's it. Full stop. This is an extremely simple, basic message, but it's one that I feel like the Lord laid on my heart right after Easter, because I feel like Easter, we look at the cross, we look at the resurrection, we celebrate that victory, but what comes after that? What comes after the resurrection? See, because as Emily said earlier, the resurrection is something that we should be celebrating and experiencing on a daily basis. This is not something that we just celebrate once a year or even once a week. This is something that's every day we're waking up and we're saying, the same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead lives in me. And I am gonna attack the day knowing that. But that means that we have to accept that Jesus is the only way. Because here's the thing, Jesus will share his glory with no one. He will share his glory with no one. And that's part of why he's saying, it's my way. That's it. Nobody can come and say, well, yeah, it's Jesus, but I did pretty good work too. I'm doing a pretty good job following Jesus. We don't get to say that. We don't get to do that. Each of us, no matter where we are in our walk with Jesus, no matter what we have done or haven't done, it doesn't matter. All that matters is what Jesus did. His work, his way, his truth, his life. That's what matters. And until we can get that into our head, into our heart, into our spirit, that all that matters is that we wake up every day and we just say, I'm going and I'm going to do things God's way. I'm going to follow him. I'm not going to go my own way. I'm not going to do my own thing. Because when we do that, church, the minute we do that, we just open ourselves up for all sorts of confusion and all sorts of lies from the enemy. We have to stay the course. We have to stay the course. There's a lot of people that might object to this type of a message. They might say, that's narrow-minded and intolerant and exclusive. But the reality is that Jesus, as I said before, is not just another religious option. He's not just a matter of personal preference. Well, I'm very pro-Jesus, but this person over here, they're going to find a different way to God. It doesn't work that way. And Jesus was very clear with us that it doesn't work that way. Because again, he knows, Jesus, more than 2,000 years ago, when he said these words, he knew then what's happening now, which is that we are in a world that's constantly morphing and changing, even the definition of what the truth really is. And so Jesus was essentially saying, you have to build your life on me because I am unchanging. I don't know about you, but I do not want to anchor my life to something that might totally not be there tomorrow or might totally be different. It's like building your house on the sand. It's like anchoring your boat to nothing. We have to come to Jesus and say, you're the only one smart enough, strong enough, holy enough, worthy enough, secure enough that we can build our life on, that we can anchor our soul to. Like, this is real stuff, church. This is when someday, when I breathe my last, and I don't know if that's gonna be tomorrow, in 20 years, in 40 years, I don't know. But when that day comes, I will stand before God. And I want confidence that I followed the roadmap of Jesus and I can boldly just enter into the presence of God. And I have that confidence because my confidence is not in me, it's not in you, it's not in Pastor Doug, it's not in the world around me, it's in Jesus. It's in his word. And that's where I have my security. And that's where you can have your security. I get it. Every day, a new thing, a new challenge is gonna come your way. If you think I'm sitting up here talking about that, I got no problems, you're wrong. If you think it's not difficult for me to every day follow Jesus as the only way, truth, and life, like, it is hard. It's very difficult. But there's so much power when we do that. There's so much power. You want to know what the kind of power that we receive when we are living that way? It's the power of the resurrection living in us. Church, today I think there's somebody here, maybe there's multiple people here. You showed up today and you need the power of the resurrection in your life. Maybe it's to resurrect a relationship. Maybe it's to resurrect a situation or a negative circumstance going on in your life. Maybe it's something in your own life that you just can't seem to get over, and you keep kind of replaying the same movie where you do this thing that you don't want to do and you just can't seem to get over it or free from it. Well, the invitation to you today is for Jesus to be the only way, truth, and life, and to give you that power of the resurrection so that you can be an overcomer. But we have to embrace this truth with humility and gratitude and faith. See, if you just hear this word, but you don't grab hold of it with faith, then nothing will come of it. But if you're hearing this word today, which let me remind you, this is not my word. I might be the mouthpiece speaking it by God's grace, but this is not my sermon. This is not my word. This is God's word. And He's wanting us to reach out with faith and receive it and live by it and follow Jesus with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. So my encouragement to you today is let's share this truth with others who are searching for meaning, purpose, and hope. And let's trust in the promise of Jesus, which He gave us in John 14:3, where He said, if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and I will take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. See, here's the truth of the matter, church. Jesus was saying all these things about Himself being the only pathway to God because He wants us to be with Him. That's where I kind of laugh sometimes, where I hear people say, Jesus and Christianity is so exclusive. I'm like, really? Because Jesus wants all of us to be with Him in the presence of God. And He alone knows and is the pathway to that presence. And it's available to any of us. We just have to believe and follow. It's really that simple. It's really a very simple idea. It's hard to walk it out, but it's very simple. Today I want to ask 3 questions as I'm closing here. In fact, should everybody just close your eyes right now? I want to ask 3 questions. I want us to think about these questions. Are you looking to Jesus for the way? And I'm not just talking the way of salvation. I'm talking just for everything in our life. Are you looking to Jesus for the way to go? We have questions, we have problems, we have issues, we have things that we need answers for. Are you making it up as you go? Or are you looking to Jesus? I had a situation come up this last week and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to handle it. And I was getting pretty worked up about it. And finally I just caught myself. I realized, I was like, oh man, I'm trying to figure this thing out by myself. And I just stopped and I was just like, Lord, I don't know what to do here. I really need you to show me the way. And He did. Are we looking to Jesus for the way? He wants to do the heavy lifting. Even with salvation, He's doing the heavy lifting, people. Are you looking to Jesus for the truth? Or are you just trying to cobble up some truth on your own? Have you bought the lie that you're smarter than God? You got things figured out. Or are you truly humbling yourself and looking to Jesus for the truth? Are you looking to Jesus for life? That full life that I believe we all want, we all can have. But if you're trying to make it up on your own, you're trying to get that life on your own, then you're going to be disappointed. Are you looking to Jesus for that life? Today, if you're here, or maybe you're watching online and you've never prayed the prayer, accepted Jesus into your life. You've never made that declaration. Yes, Jesus, I accept you as the only way, the only truth, and the only life. If you've never done that and you're sitting here today and you want to have that full life, you want to be able to boldly enter into the presence of God, you're ready to say, it's only through Jesus, I accept the way of Jesus. If that's you today, I want you to right now just raise your hand. Just raise your hand. Nobody's looking around. Just raise your hand. Thank you. There's hands going up all over this room. I pray that there's hands going up on live stream. Thank you. I see those hands. I think I got them all. You can go ahead and put your hands down. We're going to pray a prayer together, everybody together. And when we pray this prayer, something is going to happen in the supernatural, where these people that have prayed this prayer for the very first time, their names will be written in the Lamb's Book of Life. They will be recognized by God. They will be able to have that same confidence that I talked about earlier, where they know where they're going. And they know that they have access to the presence of God. So would you just, everybody in this room, repeat this prayer after me. Father, I come to you in Jesus' name. I admit that I'm a sinner and I need your grace. I believe that Jesus is the only way, the only truth, and the only life. I receive him as my Lord and Savior, and I choose to follow you. In Jesus' name, amen. Come on, can we give the Lord a hand? Man, church, if you prayed that prayer for the very first time, I just want to not only congratulate you, it's the best decision you've ever made, but I want to encourage you, find somebody and tell them what you've done. Tell them, because our walk with God is something that is meant to do in a community together. That's why this church body is so important to all of our individual walks. So find somebody, tell them that you made that decision so that we can start to walk with you and encourage you through this amazing walk of faith. Would you just stand up, church?